In today's program, we cover the backlash of Thailand's suspense of the Test and Go program. But does the government care? We'll see how a rally in front of the government house turns out, details on these stories, and many more coming right up. You're watching Thailand News Today with me, Mega, bringing you the latest headline in Thailand and beyond. And in our first story, the head of the Phuket Tourist Association says the potential knock-on effect of the test and go suspense is not yet known well. I think all he needs to do is look at the Tiger comment section. Ramtam says the number of the foreign tourists arrived on the island via the Sunspot ships could be affected, but it remains to be seen if overall visitors numbers to the Thailand drop off, or if more tourists switch their destination to Phuket instead. Before the emergence of the Omicron variant, fully vaccinated tourists from 63 approved countries were able to enter Thailand under the test and go shim where they only had to spend one night in an accredited hotel, while they waited for their negative PCR test. But as a result of the highly contagious Omicron variant rapidly spreading around the globe and its potential impact on healthcare system, still unknown test and go was suspended. The decision is expected to be reviewed after January the 4th. The Sunspot's entry ships has also been suspended with the exceptions of Phuket. All foreign arrival to Thailand must now enter via alternative quarantines of the Phuket Sunspots. However, test and go travelers who registered to arrive before January the 10th can still do so. Tourism operations around the country have expressed frustration at the decision with got Samui champagne to have its Sunspot ships registered. One Samui hotel operation says many properties have hired extra staff to handle high season businesses and have now been caught off guard. He fears many tourists will be cancelled their hotel bookings and is urging the government to reinstate the island Sunspot program, given that most residents are fully vaccinated. A notice from Thailand Civil Aviation Authority has been issued to airlines to advise travelers of the new condition for entering the kingdom. For now, travelers who already received their Thailand pass and those who have applied but are still waiting to get accepted can still enter Thailand with minimal quarantine, but will now be subject to 2 PCR tests. The second one at government facilities for its tourists choosing the Phuket Sunspot ships must stay on the island in a SHA Plus hotel for at least 7 days before being free to travel elsewhere in the kingdom. With the Sunspot ships now suspended around the country with the exceptions of Phuket tourist operations in other parts of the country are urging the government to include their province in the Sunspot program. Tan Supon Sahasaramsi from the Chonburi Tourist Council says the suspense of the test and go ships is expected to last for 2 weeks at the moment. Tan also wants the government to clarify the conditions for Sunspot State 2 so that each province can ensure that they meet them. He adds that officials should take steps to address a shortage of vaccine booster dose where necessary, as well as doing more to get the unvaccinated to come forward for inoculation. Data from the Public Health Ministry shows that the most major tourist destinations are lagging when it comes to booster dose administered. In Chonburi, just 8.3% have received a third dose. In Chiang Mai, it's 6.7%, and in Gabi, 5.8%, while Phuket is way out in front at 54%. In Krabi, the president of the province tourist council has voiced concern that airlines operating direct flights from Scandinavia might cancel, following the suspense of the test and go ships unless Gabi is added to the Sunspot ships. Otherwise, the province could miss out on the entire high season. Meanwhile, in Chiang Mai, La Yabun Sitong from the northern chapter of the Thai Hotel Association says she favored the tightening of the travel restrictions to prevent a total lockdown that will affect the strong domestic tourist section in the north of the country. Thailand's COVID-19 certifications will be accepted in the European Union, while Thailand will recognize the EU Digital COVID certificate. Today, the European Commission approved the certifications given by Thailand, Montenegro, Taiwan, Tunisia, and Uruguay. Thai citizens can use their passport to travel to EU nations and vice versa. The European Commission for Justice Didier Reinders say the technologically now connects 60 countries and territories across 5 continents. After receiving 2 doses of the vaccine, the certification will be valid for 270 days. People who want it to last longer must take a booster dose. As there is still very little research on how long the booster dose will protect against the virus, there is no information regarding how long it will be extended after the booster dose has been released. Thailand nightlife workers have rallied in Bangkok protesting outside government house as they demand government assistance. The workers known as the High Heel Mob are calling on Prime Minister Prayuthan Ocha to overstate to industry workers they are adversely affected by the government's closure orders. The workers were led by the Empower Foundations. Employees said their industry has been decimated by government restrictions, but unlike other sections, they have received no state aid to offset the financial hardships they are enduring. They say workers from club and other nightlife venues have made no money since the start of the pandemic nearly 2 years ago. Furthermore, they have been excluded from relief measures despite calling for help. The workers are urging the governments to include them in plans to provide monthly aid of 5,000 baht to employees, while the government has pledged such financial assistance for those in the social security system. The Empower Foundation says that this includes most workers in the nightlife industry. After the workers read out their list of demands at the government house, they proceed to open box containing high-heeled shoes. The shoes had been sent by nightlife workers all over in the country and included message to the government about the financial hardships they are enduring. Officials are setting up emergency operation centers in 50 districts of Bangkok to prevent COVID-19 from spreading during countdown events and celebrations. The centers will screen people and immediately isolate those who are positive. The Bangkok Metropolitan Administration's Permanent Secretary says district officer will keep a tight eye on the New Year's celebrations and events. Restaurants and other approved venues have been given the okay to sell alcohol and drinks until 1 a.m. on January the 1st. He advised event organizers to adhere to type preventative measures such as providing a sanitized environment and encouraging attendance to socially distance, wear masks, wash hands, get tests, and use the Thai Chan app. And that wraps up the show for today. Thailand's News Today will be back tomorrow. Meanwhile, you're not up to date on the Tiger U.